Welcome to Shibuya, Las Vegas. Welcome to Shibuya.
Welcome to Shibuya.
Welcome to Shibuya.
Hey everybody! So this week I went to 3 shabu shabu places. It just happened that way, I didn't plan it. But I went to 3 shabu places and 3 dessert places, so I decided to put them together. I'm just gonna show you a little bit of each, but the one that I wanted to focus on was my favorite shabu shabu place. It's called Shibuya, located in Chinatown, Las Vegas. For those of you who don't know what shabu shabu is, it's similar to the hot pot I had in my chubby cattle video. Basically, it's a hot broth that's heated at the table. The hot pot or shabu shabu broth is boiled at the table. In the old days, there used to be a community pot for everyone to dip into, but the modern shabu and hot pot places now have individual burners at the table for each customer. You control the temperature and you cook all kinds of different items. These items consist of vegetables, all kinds of vegetables. It's really healthy for you. Beef is a main ingredient in both hot pots and shabu shabu. The beef is sliced very thin so that it cooks fast in the broth. And the marbled fat is a preferred choice over lean cuts of meat for the richness. There's also seafood, noodles, and a number of other items. Plus dipping sauces. This is Chenko Shabu Bar on Spring Mountain between Decatur and Jones. The thing that surprised me the most about this place was the restroom. Yes, the restroom. Yeah, the experience made me feel like I was transported to Japan with that Japanese TV. The whole setup here is like a bar. Everybody sits at the bar. It's like a big square. The highlight of this place are the appetizers. It's like an izakaya, Japanese tapas. You can get a number of small appetizers as well as shabu shabu. This is not an all-you-can-eat. And the selection for the shabu is not as vast as the other 2 places in this video. This includes vegetables and beef, along with 3 or 4 different kinds of broth, served in this giant filter that resembles a coffee filter. The beef was sliced very thin, almost paper thin, and was flavorful. The shabu was pretty good, but the main highlight of this place I would say would be the appetizers. The thinner the slices of beef, the better, not just for the cooking time, but for the texture and the flavor when you're eating this. Welcome to Shibuya. This is the premium shabu shabu all you can eat at Spring Mountain in Decatur. It's huge. It's very spacious inside with a large selection of food. You can see the preparation, and I love places that show you the preparation. The setup was impressive. I could see the cuts of beef and they looked really good. And it seemed they were well prepared to dish out a large number of beef trays. They have several different cuts of beef, and the quality looked very good, and I was assured this was premium beef. It looked like this place was designed to be a buffet. It's just that because of COVID, customers are not allowed to take their own food. All of the food items are either ordered on the app or in person, and the food is brought to you. They have a really nice looking bar, and this place could be a really good all-you-can-eat buffet style shabu. However, this place opened in October of 2020, right during the middle of COVID, so it never really got a chance to fully open. But even if it's not self-serve, the food is brought to you very quickly. Like I said, you can order on the app or order in person. They have a large amount of seafood and some appetizers as well. When I think about shabu shabu, I think about the beef. However, the seafood here is really impressive as well. The seafood and the beef are really pretty good, so although it's customary to get vegetables, I may one day just go there and forget about the veggies and just go straight with the seafood and the beef. Large selection of seafood, mussels, clams, blue crab. They have fish fillets, shrimp, and squid. It's a fairly large variety. They have 5 different kinds of broth here. We got original and the spicy miso. The spicy miso is pretty popular. There's also the tonkatsu, which is a creamy, rich garlic pork broth. And then the sukiyaki is a little bit on the sweet side. For those of you who know what sukiyaki is, it's supposed to be a little bit sweet. Some people think it's too sweet, some people think it's not sweet enough. The food is gonna be boiled, so it's very important that you choose your dipping sauces, because it won't have the flavoring that a lot of the fried dishes or grilled dishes will have, because everything is boiled, even the meats. You won't have the char because everything will be boiled. So you choose your dipping sauces and it adds to the flavor. The beef cooks very quickly. In fact, the name shabu shabu, or the term shabu shabu, came from the sound of the beef swishing around in the broth. That's how the term shabu shabu came about. It cooks in about 10 to 15 seconds. The seafood will take a little bit longer to cook, so make sure you check it and cook it to your preference. Don't overcook the seafood or it won't be as good. The sauces that I have are the sweet chili, the goma, which is kind of a sesame-based sauce, and then the ponzu sauce, which is a citrusy, soy-flavored, slightly sweet kind of sauce. I didn't get any appetizers, and even the seafood, as good as it was just a prelude to the beef. The beef is what got me addicted to shabu shabu for about a week and a half. I really got addicted to the texture, the thin sliced beef dipped in the hot broth with the sauce, and the flavor. Some of the flavor was really amazing. The fatty content, especially the ones that had the marbling and the fat, it was very rich and creamy. The thin slices, sometimes when you're eating that, it's like a velvety, silky experience in your mouth. And with the sauce and the broth, it was a super addicting experience. In fact, I think I ate it every day for about 5 days. And then I skipped a day or two and then went back for some more. You don't want to cook the beef too long because it can become more tough. You'd probably want to experiment and see how you like it. But for me, just swishing it around 10 seconds or so until the pinkness is almost gone is the perfect time. And the various different cuts of meat were explained to me, but I couldn't remember. I went by taste. I went by trying each kind and see which ones I liked the best. The primary method of eating shabu is to dip your meats in the broth and then the sauce. Dip your vegetables or cook your vegetables in the soup, and you can pull them out and eat them whenever you want. And even though you have this big pot of broth in front of you, you're not supposed to eat the soup until the end. The vegetables take the longest to cook, so you add them in the beginning. The meats cook the fastest. The seafood and the beef just takes a little bit of time. But during the whole process of dipping the meats and the seafood, the broth becomes flavorful. So near the end is when you will choose your type of noodles and then add them to the broth, because now you have a very flavorful broth. Then you add the noodles and you can make your noodle soup. So you can have a soup at the end of the meal after the broth has been seasoned. And since it's an all-you-can-eat, you can always have your broth refilled and order some more meat trays and eat to your heart's content. Another shabu spot located in the Golden Springs Shopping Center is located by the Imperial Sushi and Seafood Buffet. Broth is a new shabu place. This place is also very large and spacious. The thing about broth that I like most is the convenience. You can just walk in and you can probably find a seat. But to be safe, you'd always want to call ahead because that probably depends on day of the week and time of day. This place is also a buffet format. It's a buffet style. But this place, unlike Shabuya, the food isn't brought to your table. You go up and you point to the food and then they hand you the vegetables here and the seafood. When it comes to the beef, they bring it out from the back. So unlike Shabuya, you don't see them slicing the beef, but you do see the display of seafood and vegetables out there. This place also has individual burners. So they give you this garlic and scallions. This is a huge amount of garlic for the pot that you're going to be using. So don't dump the whole thing in there. If you know about cooking, you're only going to add a little bit. Hey, did you know that 10 cloves of garlic equals 1 dose of penicillin? You can check it out on Google. The seafood here was pretty good. They didn't have the blue crab. They didn't have any kind of blue crab, so that was kind of a bummer. They did have these little scallops. However, the biggest drawback, and this kind of made it really difficult to eat, was that there was no ladle or any way to get those little scallops out. I'll show you a little bit later. But the seafood was pretty good. It's very similar to Shabuya, but I think Shabuya's seafood had a little bit more larger mussels and clams. This place had some fish cakes. That was a king crab fish cake. Not that it tasted like king crab or anything like that. However, I only had my chopsticks and this deal. And it was decent for picking out stuff, but to pick up those little scallops, it was almost impossible. So when I added the scallops and trying to use this thing to fish them out, it took a good long while, and by the time I got them out, they were pretty overcooked. I asked for a ladle or some kind of a scooper, but for some reason at this time they didn't have it. I don't know if that's just for this time it wasn't available, or whether they don't really have ladles. And now I'm wondering how you eat the soup if you want to take the soup out and put it in your bowl. So before I started on the beef, I changed my broth. First I started with the spicy tonkatsu, which was creamy and spicy and was pretty good. And then I went to a sukiyaki broth, which is a little bit sweet. So they had a variety of meats as well. How does it compare to Shabuya? For some reason, Shabuya's meats are so much better to me. I don't know why. And their seafood with the blue crab is really good. I felt like I was actually eating seafood, big chunks. Whereas here, they were like little tiny niblets. The beef here was also good, very similar to Shabuya. It was thin, it was flavorful. The first time I came here, the cuts of the beef were actually a little bit thick, and I didn't really enjoy the experience as much as I did at Shabuya. But the second time I came here, the beef was thin and it was good, and at the end of the meal, I had my noodle soup. So all in all, pretty good. The dessert places that I went to, this is right next to broth. This is called Tea Swirl Crepe. Here they have all kinds of crepes. They also have a public display and show you how everything is prepared. And they are making their crepes out of the batter, and they roll the crepes right in front of you. They have two types of crepes here. They have the savory crepes and they have the dessert crepes. The savory crepes are more like a wrap, a lunch, because you can get it with vegetables and meats and different kinds of food. This is like boiled egg and spinach that you see here. They also have different kinds of drinks, and for their menu and description, you can check the link in the description below. This is what I ordered. This is a dessert wrap. This is a strawberry something. However, I gotta say the crepe is pretty large and it does fill you up pretty good. The ice cream on top is actually a gelato. So this is tea swirl crepe. This is a pretty good dessert option here.
Hey, I like it.
This is Sweet. I'm back here again because I come here once in a while. This is also on Spring Mountain between Decatur and Jones. They have a lot of different desserts here, cakes, and they also have your coffees and drinks. The thing about this place that I like is it's very cozy and homey. The only drawback is that seating can be difficult if you want to hang out and chill. But they do have this amazing sizzling brownie. This dessert place is called Matcha Cafe Maiko. What they specialize in here is matcha, green tea, soft serve ice cream. And they also have a variety. You can get your soft serve green tea ice cream or swirled with vanilla. You can get it in a waffle cone or in a cup, served with like different kinds of toppings such as mochi and azuki bean or red bean or something like that. And for the full menu, I'll leave a link in the description to their Yelp site or their website, so you can click on that and see everything they have. That about does it for my shabu and desserts. Sorry it took so long to get this out, but it's pretty hard because my work has been really demanding and I haven't been able to get the videos out. So that's about it for this one, and gorgeous sunset here. We'll see you next time.